it going, freaks? How's it going out there? Yeah, I got the. I've been working on this animation thing. It looked pretty sweet. I gotta tell you. I have a character. This guy is walking from over here like this. I have him have a backpack on, a hat, and he walks right along like this, and then kind of goes into there. And that's exactly what the video is going to show when they finally show this. Surveillance footage. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, so it's a little higher, right? Yeah. Right, let me see if I can find something better. Hold on a second. Before we get on to the other stuff, I gotta check something out. Hey, thanks, Cheryl Bullock. Yeah, see how that tree's a little bit above there. And that's not what mine shows here. See? So I feel like, let me see if I can have a different shot of it. It's pretty loud. That looks pretty good right there, doesn't it? I think that's perfect. Wow, look at that. Alright, I'm going to save that. I'm working on the Tyler Robinson video and watch 2,000 views when it's finished. Hey Phil, that's because your brain doesn't work well. You always have something to say. Okay, that's because there's a camera on the drone, for God's sakes. A 360-degree camera. All right, Phil. And are you ever just going to show up and be normal for 2 minutes? That'd be awesome. Just one time. It'd just be just such a pleasant difference. Let's see, right there. So that would mean, I guess it, well, I don't know. It looks pretty good. Guess we'll see. All right. Hey, wow, look at that. Phyllis Watson right out of the gate has a 5 for 5 challenge. All right, so if anybody out there wants to help support the channel, we've got Phyllis Watson jumping in there. Yesterday we had another disaster, so hopefully today we're getting close to the end of the month, so if you have the ability to help support the channel, that would be awesome. There's one by Alley Cake. Alright, you guys want to see sort of what it looks like, what I'm saying? Let me take this one out of here and bring in the other one. And then we'll get to, I'm going to play the Caroline Levitt press conference also. That'd be great. That still didn't make it there, Phil. We need 4 more gifted memberships to reach Phyllis Watson's challenge. All right, let's see. But thanks, Phil. Let's see. Where did I put that? Okay, Charlie Kirk. Full video. It's going to be in here. There we go, right there. Bam. And then we'll put this out there. And so here's like, you know, a scene with the still frame in it, right there. See that? And that's actually, it needs to be 50%. Hold on. That's a huge image. It's 4K in there. Yeah, I'm using a Mavic 2 Pro with a Insta360 X5 mounted on top of it. Alright. Thanks. Alright, let's import the... I'm going to show you this. It's pretty cool. I found this thing that shows the... what do you call it? It allows you to just capture the shadow. I mean, this is going to be really amazing. So I'll be able to do a whole bunch of other stuff with that, especially in the Nancy Guthrie case. But did you guys see Phyllis's challenge up there? Can we at least get the one right out of the gate, please? So we need 4 more gifted channel memberships, or just 4 super chats of 5 to reach her challenge, and then she'll donate 5 all by herself. All right, so it's a 2-for-1er. Thank you. Welcome, Phil. Hey, are you, does that mean you're going to be normal? Wow, it's amazing. Right, here we go. Doesn't look like it, Allie K. Doesn't look like it. Already, Jesus. All right, so check it out. The guy is right there, but that's not how this works. You have to, so I bring him in. See, you can see him way over there. See him? He's kind of small, and it's just it's the guy and a shadow. So when I watch him walk here, I put him right back where it starts. Okay, so then he goes over there a little early, so that means he's back even further. Back here. Probably about like that. And he goes around and there, so that means probably need to move it over a little bit to the left. It's kind of weird. It needs to go back. That's crazy. Out right in there, like that. Yes, that's all. That's what I've got so far. But look how good that is. Can you guys see that? Look at this. Watch. There he is, man. He's coming. I guess I have to work with those lights because he sort of goes in front of it. But see that? I mean, that's exactly what he would look like. I don't have him limping or anything, but it even has a shadow for him and everything. Look at that. And that's kind of where it just stops right here for now. But he literally walks, I have him walking all the way across. And notice that he has a backpack and the hat. Look at that. I mean, that looks just like what he looks like, right? I mean, and even, I think he even has like lighter shoes. Man, how did we get down to 64 people in 2 seconds? We had 100 and then 64 just like that. You guys, we need 3 more gifted memberships. 2 more up there. I think that's pretty amazing. And it's weird too because I had it set up. Look at how he goes all the way back, and even from over there comes out. I don't know, man. It's gonna be pretty good. All right, so anyways, that's what it's right now. It's rendering out. We're on, out of 2,600 frames, it's on 838. All right, so sometime during the show that'll be finished, and then we can take a look at that, and that'll be a continuation of what we had already done. Because watch this. Remember in this video, I think it's that one, or is it? I think it's this one, right here. Yeah, remember how he goes through the tunnel and walks all the way around, and then comes up, and here's the Losi Center building. And then look at right there. That's when that shot will pick up. Because the camera that's right on this corner picks him up coming out like this. How cool is that, huh? Come on! Is there like breaking news that just happened? Because we had 105 right when the show started, and it dropped to 60 in like 2 seconds. You guys, we need to get the other 2 gifted memberships to reach Phyllis Watson's challenge. Is it that difficult at the beginning of the show to do that? All right, let's see. Where the heck is the other one? There it is. All right, so I'm going to play this this first press conference. That she basically ends up talking about the event. This is right here.
Respondents Association dinner on Saturday evening. I felt it was prudent to be here today to answer your questions and inform the American people about how the administration is responding to yet another attempt on President Trump's life. Saturday was supposed to be a joyful evening celebrating free speech and the First Amendment with all of you, members of the press. Instead, the night was hijacked by a crazed anti-Trump individual who traveled across the country to assassinate the president and as many administration officials as possible. This is the 3rd major assassination attempt against President Trump in 2 years. No other president in history has faced such repeated, serious attempts on his life. First and foremost, the president, the first lady, and everyone in this White House are extraordinarily grateful to the brave law enforcement professionals who sprang into action to apprehend the would-be assassin and keep all of us safe. The president would especially like to express his gratitude to the men and women of the United States Secret Service who acted with the utmost professionalism, courage, and sense of duty. This includes the heroic agent who took a bullet to the chest. Thankfully, he was saved by his bulletproof vest. Minutes after returning here to the White House to the Oval Office, despite fighting...
Now, I wonder if that gives the guy a little bit of an out, because in his manifesto he said, yeah, I'll shoot him in the chest knowing that they've got a bulletproof vest. But I'm not sure, based on the press conference, that that's actually, if he's the one that actually hit the officer. I don't know.
Secret Service to try to stay and keep the dinner going on Saturday. Ahead of addressing you here in the briefing room, President Trump was intent on speaking to this brave agent to ensure he was okay. And the agent assured the president that he was. As you know, I was seated next to President...
Well, I guess that's the goal then, right? You did it. So Alley Cake did 4 of the 5. Not another soul could help out other than... I mean, Alley Cake did all 5. Jesus, you guys.
President Trump and the First Lady when the...
Yeah, last night, she actually ends up saying almost exactly what I was telling you guys last night. Of course, people always get offended and they leave.
Shots were fired before Secret Service swiftly moved us to safety backstage. The president's calm in the face of chaos, while yet another individual was trying to take his life, was really remarkable to witness, and it's something I will never forget. President Trump is fearless because he loves this country, and he is willing to put his own life on the line to deliver on the promises that he made to the American public who elected him here into the highest office in the land. And while we are blessed to have a fearless president, we should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day. We can and we should have fierce disagreement in this country. As you all know, we disagree often, myself in this role and all of you in the news media. But those disagreements must remain peaceful. Debating, peaceful protesting, and voting are how we need to settle disagreements, not bullets. Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump. This political violence stems from a systemic demonization of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members.
Isn't this exactly what I told you guys yesterday? This is a truth. It's not something that people are just making up, etc. When you have people like, these comedians, whatever you want to call them, and all these other people out there. Well, why do you care, Phil? Why do you give a damn that she's married to somebody older? Anyways, they make these comments calling people like, like they call Trump Hitler and a fascist and all these different terms. And then, of course, a person out there that's, I'm not even sure if you'd call them deranged, they would think that they're doing the right thing by taking people out because you're basically saying they're the next Hitler coming in, right? That is what they're doing.
Members of the Democrat Party and even some in the media. This hateful and constant and violent rhetoric directed at President Trump day after day after day for 11 years has helped to legitimize this violence and bring us to this dark moment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It legitimizes the violence.
To constantly falsely label and slander the president as a fascist, as a threat to democracy, and compare him to Hitler to score political points are fueling this kind of violence. The left-wing cult of hatred against the president.
And the thing is, Democrats, generally, they just won't admit it to themselves. They can't look into the mirror and say, you know what? That is what people are doing. And I can see how this is causing it. Because they just... I think a lot of them actually are okay with it, first of all. And then secondly, they're just sort of, they're just not willing to admit it because it looks bad. And I just think it sucks, Like, I'm willing to tell you, like, I think the conservatives and whatnot that follow Candace Owens are totally complete and utter nut jobs. I mean, these people are crazy lunatics and I think are dangerous people. I'll tell you that right now. All right.
And all of those who support him and work for him.
I think she's the best one that they've had. I think she's better than Dana Perino. I think she's way better.
Has gotten multiple people hurt and killed, and it almost did so again.
But why do you care, Phil? See, there you go. She's in the public and deserves public scrutiny. And you're bitching about because she married somebody older. I mean, what a stupid thing to care about. That's what I'm telling you. This is what you do often in here. You bring up stuff that nobody gives a shit about, and you turn it into something that is just, like, it's just ridiculous. Let it go, man. Move on to something important.
And this weekend. When you read the manifesto of this shooter, ask yourselves, how different is the rhetoric from this almost assassin than what you read on social media and hear in various forums every
thank you. GSO Kraken.
single day? The answer, if you're being honest with yourself, is that there is no difference at all. Much of the manifesto of the would-be assassin is indistinguishable from the words that we hear daily from so many. For example, as the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing?
And I'm playing this because it's important to realize the genesis of a shooter like this. The guy, I told you guys yesterday, remember when I was reading the manifesto, it sounds so similar just to the way these people talk. The Trump derangement syndrome wackos. They say the same thing.
Over the potential murder of her beloved husband. And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the First Lady, and his supporters is completely deranged.
Why is that funny, Phoebe Cho? Yeah, I don't know if he shot or not at this point. But what does it matter? He went in there to break in, to shoot everybody, and the shots that were fired could have just all been the Secret Service firing at him. Who cares? What difference does it make? So are you going to defend him and say, well, we don't know if he was really going in there?
And it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night. As President Trump said on Saturday night at this podium, we as Americans must recommit ourselves to resolving our differences peacefully and uniting around the shared values that make our country great. The deranged lies and smears against the president, his family, his supporters have led crazy people to believe crazy things.
Yeah, see, Phil, this is what you do every single time. What right here? You share opinions that are just ludicrously childish. And then when somebody challenges on it, you pretend like you're like somebody offended you. You know, it's you that offend people. You bring up stuff that's just like, who cares, man?
Are inspired to commit violence because of those words. It has to stop. And one more point. Saturday night served as yet another reminder of how important it is to fund the Department of Homeland Security. It is shameful.
Yeah, well, when we listened later on, when we listened to the press conference of the DOJ, there he didn't seem sure where the bullet came from that actually hit the Secret Service officer. You know, I guess we'll have to read. You know, I have the document here. We're going to go over that later.
But the United States Congress has kept this vital agency defunded for 73 days. The longest shutdown of a federal agency in U.S. history. The Secret Service is a vital component of DHS. It has been directly impacted by this reckless political gamesmanship. Everyone in this room who was there on...
Hey, Phil, you donated a minute ago just to do what you're doing right now, okay? You know what you're doing, man. You're one of those passive-aggressive people.
Saturday night witnessed the heroes of Secret Service and federal law enforcement jump into action in the face of grave danger and uncertainty. Agents put their own lives in harm's way to protect the president, the First Lady, the Vice President, and members of the cabinet. One agent can be seen in video footage literally jumping onto the stage, not knowing where the attacker was or where the bullets were coming from at that point, to place his body in front of the President of the United States. These men and women are heroes. They perform their duties daily, and they have children and families too. And they do it despite the political turmoil surrounding their agency. Make no mistake, this defunding of DHS should be a national scandal. If Republicans defunded DHS and we saw another attempted assassination on a Democrat president, I would hope that the media coverage would be relentless and unforgiving, and I hope that it continues to be now. With the World Cup, America 250, the 2028 Olympics, and a presidential election all ahead, the Democrats' obstruction is placing an enormous and totally pointless burden on the Secret Service that can get more people killed. Enough is enough. There should be no further debate about this. Democrats need to do what President Trump has been calling on them to do for 73 days in a row and fund the Department of Homeland Security, period. This is a national emergency, and every member of Congress needs to put their country over party and get the Department of Homeland Security funded. With that, I will take a few of your questions today. Daniel, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Caroline. The president, Saturday after the assassination attempt came here, he emphasized that law enforcement did their job, keeping everyone safe at dinner. House Speaker Mike Johnson came out and said he believes the president needs greater protection. What is the White House's message to the millions of Americans who wake up here today nervous, uneasy about the safety of the president at events like this and the safety of their cabinet members?
Well, we certainly understand their fears and their worries. As you heard from the president himself, he continues to have trust in the United States Secret Service. As I just said, these are great men and women who are doing their jobs and performing their duties honorably. As we all witnessed on Saturday evening, within minutes, the president, the first lady, the vice president, members of the president's cabinet were ushered out of the room. The perpetrator who sought...
Yeah, I mean, I would say most well, I don't know. It's hard to say now because I have a bunch of friends that are Democrats, and they say the same kinds of things, you know, when you're just talking to them. So I just avoid, you know, the conversations. But it's weird how it's sort of permeated, because that means what they're reading and the information that, you know, because they don't know any more than anybody else. So that means they're reading the outlets that say certain things and paint the picture a certain way. It's not like your own observations. That's not how it works. It's whoever you watch. That's how they frame it that way. Okay, so it's in the current environment, virtually every single news outlet is anti-President Trump. So it makes it very hard to find a place that that might tell you the reality of what's actually going on. And then if I said, well, Fox News is the only, you go, oh, they're biased too. Well, okay, well, some of the hosts are biased, Sean Hannity, etc. But then, so where do you go to get the reality? Don't tell me NPR or PBS or any of that bullshit either. It's a joke. But hey, guys, can you please help support the channel? We absolutely struggled yesterday. We're heading towards the end of the month here. If you guys could do another challenge or, try to get things going here, we're just absolutely, I don't know what's happening. It just seems like every day it's just a bigger struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle. So if you guys could please help support the channel, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
To inflict massive harm, as we all now know with the release of the manifesto on administration officials and the president himself, was stopped at the security perimeter that was set up. He tried to charge through it, as you saw on video, and he was quickly neutralized by Secret Service, and thank God that he was. With that said, obviously the White House is always asking the tough questions and ensuring the safety of the president. I understand there will be a meeting early this week convened by the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles with top DHS leadership, members of the United States Secret Service, and our own operations team here to ensure the safety and the security of the president, as we do have many of these major events moving forward. So we're always monitoring operations and procedures, always asking the tough questions to ensure the president is safe, and the American people should be assured there's no higher priority for the president and his staff than the president's safety.
On Friday, you said that you thought that gaggle out of the sticks would be your last one for your baby. Back in 2024, when the president had the attempt on his life, Butler, you cut your paternity leave short back then. You're obviously back here today after Saturday. Can you just elaborate a little bit why you felt it was important to be here to bring to the media and talk to the American people from the stand?
Sure. It's sort of crazy timing when you put it that way for both children with 2 assassination attempts against the president. I'm honored to work in this job. I view this job as the president's spokesperson and the White House spokeswoman as public service. It's not just any job.
Yeah, well, it's hard to have a conversation with somebody. Oh, it was a leave. Let's see, like what Phyllis Watson just said there. She said, it's extremely difficult to have a cogent discussion anymore with folks who want to go straight to violence instead of intelligently discussing things. Well, that's just it. I mean, as soon as you talk to, there's a huge swath. It's not a small number of individuals in the, on the left, the Democratic Party, who think, and every time you say something, their entire argument is around that they believe Trump is some sort of dictator, the next Hitler. Okay, so how do you have a cogent conversation with somebody that's that off? It's incredible, you guys. See, here's what's different. See, the people that are conservative, and we see everything that goes on too. We see everything that goes on too. And I'm looking at it just going, what in the hell are you talking about? I mean, it's actually creepy. Do you guys have that feeling too, some of you? Like you see them say that he's fascist and a dictator and all these things, and you just look at it and you go, what in the hell are you looking at? Man, I don't see it at all. I mean, it's not because I don't want to see it either. I'm looking. I'm seeing the things that are happening. I don't see it. So I don't know how to have a rational conversation with these people. It doesn't exist. It's like, somebody saying, hey, 3 + 3 is 98. And then you go, well, it's not. So how do we have this conversation? Then they go, well, it's just 98, man. That's it. And then you go, well, but it isn't. I've seen it. It's 6. 3 + 3 is 6. It's not 98. I don't understand. That what it means is that I guess what happens is is the media paints a picture. And then if you're on the opposite side, what you might do is start viewing everything that a person does based on what the media told you to believe. You view what they're saying in a specific way after that. So it doesn't matter what they say or how they say it. You're envisioning them saying it a certain way instead of just listening to what they're saying. It's confirmation bias is what I would call it.
I'm honored to do it, and I'm honored to work and speak on behalf of President Trump, who has faced unprecedented adversity and challenges, and I'm honored to work for him. And again, as I witnessed on Saturday night, just his dogged resolve and determination to get back onto the stage, and he was pushing Secret Service and law enforcement to allow him to address, and that really, I think, hopefully gives the country the type of strength that we need. And I certainly know, as his spokeswoman, and I can speak on behalf of all of the staff here at the White House, the president inspires all of us to just keep going and keep fighting every day. Thanks, Daniel. And congrats to you on your new baby. He's beautiful. Aisha.
Just from the rhetoric, you mentioned the First Lady and Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's comments were, Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow. And he said this days before the shooting, but there does seem to be a normalization of rhetoric about assassinating this particular president.
That's exactly right.
How can this administration try to put an end to this?
Well, I think you heard it directly from the president on Saturday night, Aisha, that in his words, we need to recommit ourselves as a country to toning down the rhetoric and to unifying around what makes our country great.
It's not a Republican in office, sure.
That's true of everyone who works in this White House, but as I said, it's also true of everyone who has a voice and a platform across this country, whether you're on television, a podcast host, people listen, and when you have mentally disturbed individuals across the country who are listening to this crazed rhetoric about the president day after day after day, it inspires them to do crazy things. And unfortunately,
yeah, I mean, I just couldn't agree more. That's exactly what it is. It's just, I mean, you listen to Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know what planet that guy's on. The stuff that he says, it's as if he has a brain that only has the ability to see something a certain way because he has so much hate. It's crazy.
It's not just the media, it is the entire Democrat Party has made their pitch to voters across the country that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to democracy,
right,
that he is a fascist, and that they compare him to Hitler. I mean, these are despicable statements that the American people have been consuming for years. And so many mentally perturbed individuals are led to believe these words are truth and then are inspired to act on it. I have a whole host of examples that we can share with you after. It is pages and pages of major...
Hey, is there any chance you guys could help support the channel today? We're trying to start reaching some goals. Currently, we're at 1/5 of a nightly goal. And so if you have the ability to do a challenge or help support the channel in some way, I don't know what else to tell you guys. But, you know, at the end of the month is coming up, and we're just absolutely have been obliterated. I mean, we've had some horrendous nights this month. So if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, we could use some channel memberships, gifted, super chats, etc. Because at the end of the month, that's when we, as a channel, donate thousands of dollars. Now, we've already given out 1,000 this month so far to true crime-related charities, and it's just not looking great currently. So if you guys could please help support the channel, we've got tonight, tomorrow, and the next day, and then we have our donation night on April 30th. So consider supporting the channel, please.
Major Democrat Party elected officials saying, such as Rep. Hakeem Jeffries, just this month, said...
And when the money comes in, it helps support the channel, and then we also donate thousands of dollars as well when we have ad revenue, etc. This month, there just isn't very much ad revenue. You know, so it kind of just relies on the people watching. I'm not saying this for you to listen to it and have it go out the other ear. Okay, we need to try to get the ball rolling here. It's really been disastrous.
We are in an
compared to other months.
era of maximum
Really
warfare
bad.
everywhere all the time. Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration. Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state. Senator Adam
Bullshit.
Schiff saying
Where?
President Trump
What?
using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. You have Rep. Presley saying, we'll see you in the streets. Rep. Monica McIver, a Democrat representative on Capitol Hill, we will not take this shit from Donald Trump. He thinks he's a dictator. We are at war. These are...
See, that's their pitch. That's exactly right, what she said earlier. It's not just that they're, once here's one there and there, random. That's what they tell their voters daily to gin up the vote.
Democrat elected officials calling for war against the President of the United States and his supporters. I could go on and on, but again, when you have people in positions of power that are saying things like this every single day for years, you are inspiring violence by people who are already mentally
not a
ill.
soul
And
jumped
that's
in.
what we've seen against this president for far too long.
This is disinformation and misinformation online. There will be bite-sized clips that will go viral to the point where there are Americans in this country that believe that what happened Saturday night was staged. How does this White House
Now, they've been
tackle
watching
that
Candace
with social
Owens,
media
too.
companies out there, whether it's X, Facebook, Instagram? How do they work with these companies to make sure that doesn't get out of control?
It's certainly a good question, Aisha. I don't have tangible answers for you on what we're doing with social media companies, if anything at all. What I will say is it's very important to us that we get the truth and the facts about this case and any case out there as quickly as possible to dispel some of that crazy nonsense that you do see running rampant online. And I think the Department of Justice and the FBI thus far have done a good job of disseminating the truth and the facts about this alleged attempted assassin, the perpetrator in this case, and I understand he'll be arraigned in court very soon. You all see that, and the Department of Justice will be giving a briefing and an update later today. So as far as we're concerned, just providing
Thanks,
maximum
Kami.
transparency, and hopefully people will believe the truth rather than the lies and the conspiracies that so often do go crazy on social media. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the administration view this as a security failure, or did the protocols work as they were designed?
The president has said he believes that the protocols worked. Again, you had a perpetrator who tried to breach the security parameter that was set up by Secret Service, and he was running as fast as he could and was immediately neutralized moments later. And again, having been right up there on the stage with the president and the first lady, I can tell you it was seconds before we were told to get down, and it was seconds before we found ourselves in the hold room backstage. It all happened literally within a matter of seconds. The president, the vice president, and the first lady being pulled to safety. That is not done if there's a lapse. So
Apparently
Secret
nobody-
Service did
nobody
their
heard
jobs
my
well. They
pitch.
communicated with one another to remove the president and the vice president to safety as quickly as they could, and obviously to neutralize the shooter as well. And thank God they did, because if that man was allowed into that ballroom, it would have been a much different scene.
And just one more follow-up on just how the White House could be rethinking security protocols going forward. I mean, we all remember after the attempted assassination in Butler, there were indoor rallies that were held after that. Is that out of the question, changing any additional security protocols when it comes to how the president does these events that are outside of the White House?
I definitely wouldn't say changes are out of the question. I think, again, that it's up to the White House here, and we view it as a great responsibility to ensure the maximum safety of the president and the vice president and the entire cabinet. And so we're always looking for ways to improve security. I think if you just sit
Have
here and
watched
say everything is
Stranger
perfect all the
Things.
time, that's not a good way to operate. And so the White House will continue to engage with DHS and with Secret Service to find ways to improve and strengthen security. But as far as Saturday night is concerned, the president was satisfied with the response, and he's very grateful to the men and women who provided the response for him and his wife and members of his team. Deanna.
Thanks, Caroline. The president has talked about rescheduling the dinner within 30 days. Does he have a specific venue in mind, and would he consider hosting it at the White House?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a room big enough here at the White House, which is another point to be made, and the president is absolutely right. It's why the White House Ballroom project is not just a fun project for President Trump, like you will read in the media. It is actually critical for our national security that a larger, secure building on this complex, which is the most secure complex in the world, is built to accommodate not only large amounts of guests, but also the president, the vice president, members of the cabinet. The line of succession in this country should be able to gather freely in safety without the fear of threats or political violence. And the White House Ballroom will provide that. And so it's critical that we get this project done as quickly as possible.
Iran as well.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, if that's all right. First, on the security situation on Saturday, kind of a follow-up here. Previous administrations have sent both the president and the vice president to the dinner, but after the foiled attack on Saturday, if the dinner is rescheduled, would President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance both plan on attending? And is it wise to have both of them in the same spot, given the presidential line of succession that you mentioned a second ago?
It's definitely a good question, and I know that it's one that will be raised. I can assure you the president intends to attend the event, as he has told all of you publicly. I don't want to rule in or out the vice president's attendance, but certainly that's a conversation that will take place.
And Iran has proposed a mutual reopening of the Strait, leaving the nuclear discussion for later in the process.
That's not going to happen.
Given that the nuclear program has been a red line for this administration, would the president agree to that kind of phased negotiation?
Well, only because it's been reported. I will confirm the president has met with his national security team this morning. The meeting may be ongoing, maybe not. I don't want to speak affirmatively because I was prepping to come out here, but the proposal was being discussed. I don't want to get ahead of the president or his national security team. What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
So they're considering that phased approach?
I wouldn't say they're considering it. I would just say that there was a discussion this morning that I don't want to get ahead of, and you'll hear directly from the president, I'm sure, on this topic very soon.
I'm going to ask you about the Fed chairman, but first, 3 assassination attempts in 3 years. Is this going to change the type of events that the president goes to?
Well, again, that's going to be part of the conversations moving forward. But as you heard from President Trump, he does not want these deranged lunatics and these grave acts of political violence to change our American way of life. And I think it's a very brave thing for him to say. It'd be very easy for him to just hunker down here at the White House where he knows he's safe. But the president wants to be out across the country. He wants to go across the country to meet with Americans. He wants to celebrate the 250th birthday of our nation's anniversary this summer. As you know, we're gearing up for a big UFC fight here on the South Lawn. So there's many exciting events I know the president wants to be part of and will be part of moving forward. He's undeterred in that way, and it's something that inspires all of us here to keep going.
Senator Tillis is now dropping his objection to allowing Kevin Warsh to be confirmed because the DOJ has closed their investigation. Is the president satisfied that an inspector general report into the Federal Reserve is enough to look into these renovations?
The president understands that the inspector general has greater tools at their disposal, perhaps even more powerful than a grand jury, to continue investigating the financial mismanagement of the Fed building, which is a priority for the president. Look, he's a builder himself. When he sees something has a lot of cost overruns, is taking too long, and in this case ripping off the American taxpayer, he wants to get to the bottom of it. I understand Senator Tillis put out a statement saying he'll support Kevin Warsh's confirmation. That has been our position all along from day one. He is more than qualified for the job, and we look forward to working with the Senate on his swift confirmation process. Megan.
As a follow-up on Warsh, will the president be satisfied once the Fed's Inspector General finishes that investigation, even if it finds no evidence of wrongdoing?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. I'll let the president speak on it when we see the results. It's obviously far too early to say.
And relatedly, as a follow-up, now that it looks like Warsh will be confirmed by the end of Jay Powell's term, is he still considering firing Jay Powell if he stays on as governor after that?
I haven't talked to him about it specifically, but I think the president will be satisfied once Kevin Warsh is confirmed as the Fed.
Yeah, so I don't know if anymore this is related to the shooting. So let's see. Maybe we should let's go over the criminal complaint first, then listen to the DOJ press conference. But hey, guys, I'm not sure if you heard what I said a minute ago, but I need the support from the people watching the show. Just trying really hard to reach the goals, and just for some reason the last 4 or 5 days just fell off a cliff again. So if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, that would be great. We're getting really close to our donation night, and it's every single night on the show. People send in super chats and channel memberships, and then we combine that with any ad revenue and memberships, etc. that people re-up on, and then we have a scholarship fund where we've put 24,000 in so far, 24,500, and 24,000 of it, 18 has already been given out, 6,000 has been is now a new scholarship season, so we got 3 more students that'll get 2,000, and then we also have a DNA fund, etc. So why is it that when I'm telling you guys all this on every single show lately, it just sort of nothing happens? It's like it's as if I'm just talking to a brick wall. So if you guys could please help support the channel, that would be great. I don't know what else to tell you. It is what it is. I think I do a good job. I think my channel deserves to be supported because I don't do conspiracy theories. I don't do the bullshit. I give you the facts. Anyways, number 1 says, let me get down to here. I don't care about the agent's background. Right here. On April 25th, 2026, the White House Correspondents Association dinner, the dinner it's called, was held at the Washington Hilton Hotel, located at 1919 Connecticut Avenue, Northwest Washington, D.C. Multiple high-ranking U.S. government officials attended and were featured at the dinner, including President of the United States Donald J. Trump, the Vice President of the United States, and multiple cabinet secretaries. Hey, thanks. Phyllis Watson. Well, if you were blocked, we wouldn't be able to see you, Grizzly Bear, whatever the hell your name is. We can see your name. I hope that name isn't part of some larger channel. Let's see. That we can, if you were blocked, we wouldn't be able to read what you wrote. Doesn't that make sense? Right. So what you just said was untrue. Featured at the dinner, including President of the United States Donald J. Trump. For more than 7 weeks earlier, on March 2nd, 2026, President Trump publicly announced that he would attend the dinner, posting on his Truth Social account. The White House Correspondents Association has asked me very nicely to be the honoree at this year's dinner, a long and storied tradition since it began in 1924 under then President Calvin Coolidge. President Trump added that it would be his honor to accept the invitation. The March 2nd, 2026 post was publicized by various media outlets. So similar to like Charlie Kirk, how they posted something. I don't know what you're talking about. You seem like a troll. Okay, you came in here saying you're blocked, and maybe come back another time, huh? Just not that interested. All right, let's see. More than 7, yeah, so it says the President Trump added that it would be an honor. And then down here, like the Charlie Kirk event that was posted on Facebook when they were going to be in Orem, on April 6th, Alan made a hotel reservation. So on March 2nd post, it was publicized, right? So then on April 6th, I guess he didn't have to make it way in advance, but on April 6th, Alan made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton Hotel for 3 nights, from April 24th to April 26th. I think that's an error. I think he was going to take off. He wasn't going to stay overnight on the 26th. I think it was April 20, when you have a hotel from the 24th to the 20, well, I don't know. It could be that, but usually it means you're checking out on the 26th. I don't know. Maybe he was going to, yeah, after the shooting, run upstairs and go take a nap. I don't know. On or about April 21st, 2026, Allen traveled. So about 2 weeks after that, he traveled by train from his home near Los Angeles, California, to Chicago, Illinois. Allen arrived in Chicago on or about April 23rd, 2026. That same day, Allen boarded a train in Chicago, which arrived in Washington, D.C. on April 24th, 2026 at approximately 1 p.m. So he probably, obviously has his guns in his bags, and he wasn't on a plane, so they don't have the same scrutiny. A few hours later, on April 24th, 2026, Allen checked into a specific hotel room at the Washington Hilton Hotel located at 1919 Connecticut Avenue, Northwest, at approximately 3 p.m. Allen remained there overnight. 12. The dinner was scheduled to be broadcast on national television. Look at, hey, Carol, if it's some YouTuber that enhanced it, it's not enhanced. Okay, I don't want to look at it. If it's a better version that an official put out, I'll look at it. All right? All right, because now there isn't any YouTuber that could turn that into anything better. Unless they used AI and it's not the real video. A few hours later, on April 24th, 2026, Allen checked into a specific hotel from the Washington Hilton Hotel located at 1919 Connecticut Avenue. At approximately 3 p.m., Allen remained there overnight. So that he was still there on the 25th. The dinner was scheduled to be broadcast on national television beginning at 8 p.m. on the evening of April 25th, 2026. President Trump arrived at the dinner at approximately 8 p.m. Right. If they just use the video that was released, then it's not going to be legit. Accompanied by First Lady Melania Trump, the dinner was held inside a ballroom located on the concourse level of the Washington Hilton Hotel. And plus, I don't have an email from you. So, not sure what to make of that. Alright guys, I need the support from the people watching the channel. Thank you. At approximately 8:40 p.m., Allen approached the security checkpoint. I don't see your email. Okay. When people, YouTubers and stuff, quote enhance something, it never is legit. Okay? And if they're only changing the contrast and coloring, the light and, well, basically the contrast, that's about it, then it can be legitimate. But if you're any other attempts, it just isn't reality. And I don't have an email from you either. Okay, it looks like it just came in. Oh, jeez, you sent a video. Oh, boy. Shit. And what good does it do, honestly? Okay.
Full run. It looks like he just turned a 90 and he's coming.
Okay, that's not an enhanced video.
And
that's literally the real video. Although, guess what? I don't know if it's the real video. Because you know what it says at the top of the screen?
Down at the bottom is at 0.
It says
CapCut
AI.
He was armed with a shotgun. He's armed with a shotgun. He's armed with a pistol, and he's got 2 knives on him as he's sprinting towards.
Oh, come on, let's see.
Oriented. Right as it. My big issue with it happens to be this around the corner. I think that's pretty damn through the oops. He's Mark probably watched.
Why doesn't he just play it?
This off pass pistol fires, boom, and then you see this guy fall down. He missed him. My big issue and nothing is the suspect attack. He's in the zone. Is this guy is going at it like that? So this guy, in my opinion, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. This is it right here, right? And right at the top of the screen it says CapCut AI right there. You see this? So that means their program is pretending it knows what people were doing.
And he's clearly at a dead sprint. He was armed with a, you guys can see he's about halfway down pistol. He's already got his, as it comes, he's now got his pistol out with it. Happens to be this guy right here, which we can talk about. As it comes, he's now got his reacting going to, even though, you know, warehouse.
Yeah, I don't know. I knew it was going to be something like that. You know, how did I know that? Well. Alright guys, I need your guys' support on the channel tonight. We're way behind. We're only at a quarter of the goal. So somehow from this, hold on, let's look at it. That's crazy. Oh man. I mean, I guess it's possible they got a clearer version of the video. But you notice how they didn't play the whole video. Like one after the other. Well, I did look at it. I looked at it. I'm just saying, it turns out it was AI, which is cool that AI can make stuff like that. But, you know, it's also possible maybe they had a better version and they used AI, a version that we don't have. I don't know why they didn't release, all they did was have somebody take a video of a monitor and didn't even focus the damn thing. And, you know, there's probably another version that's really clear. At approximately 8:40 p.m., Allen approached a security checkpoint on the terrace level. Thanks for sending it, though. I'm always really leery of these people. Yeah. Allen approached and ran through the magnetometer holding a long gun. As he did so, U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. U.S. Secret Service officer VG was shot once in the chest. Officer VG was wearing a ballistic vest at the time. I kind of wonder if that, you know, that other security guard, if you look at the video, let's go back to the, but is there any chance, you guys, we can get going, get the support going like a normal night? It's very disheartening. And I didn't do anything differently, you know. Yeah, so maybe this guy, like when you look at this, is it possible that this guy right here shot this guy? Watch. Like boom, right there, bang! And then it hits his bulletproof vest and somehow misses that guy, right? And then he shoots. And he's like holding his side or something because that's where the bullet hit. Hey, thanks, Paul Ayers. Appreciate it. And the reason I'm saying that is because later on, it doesn't seem like the DOJ seemed to know. They did say, up in this though, it looked like a U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. U.S. Secret Service officer VG was shot once in the chest. Now, was that the guy that was running? You know, Allen? Officer VG drew his service weapon and fired multiple times at Allen, who fell to the ground and suffered minor injuries but was not shot. Maybe they need to get back to the range a little bit. He was kind of running erratically, though. Anyways, thanks a lot there, Paul Ayers. At the time of his arrest, Allen was in possession of a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun and Rock Island Armory 1911 38 caliber pistol on his person. As part of the investigation, law enforcement reviewed records of firearm transactions from California and federal database sources. The database records showed that on or about August 17, 2025, Allen purchased a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun from a firearm dealer in a city in California, and that on or about October 6, 2023, Allen purchased a 38 caliber semi-automatic pistol from a firearm dealer in a different city in California. Based on the serial numbers in the database records, these two firearms are the same two firearms that Allen possessed and or fired at the Washington Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. on April 25th, 2026. Hey, thanks so much there, Chris O'Connell. Where are we at? We're almost at 50%. We're about $15 short of 50% of the nightly goal. So maybe all of you guys together, if you somehow can pool together and do some challenges, that would be great. We're just not happening. Last night made the 5th night this month that we didn't even come close. And so it's like, ugh, man, really we're about $1,000 short of what we were. I mean, just a normal, like if you just made the goal every single night. Okay, so as part of the investigation, law enforcement reviewed records. Okay, so it looks like he bought the exact same ones with the same serial numbers and everything. Based on the serial numbers in the database records, these two firearms are the same two firearms that Allen possessed. I mean, so there you go. They find that he purchased them, and the serial numbers on the weapons found at the scene were those same two weapons. So he bought them. And then following his arrest, Allen was advised of his Miranda rights and invoked his right to remain silent. Oh yeah? I don't know. Is that a real challenge there? Let's see. How is Jimmy Kimmel allowed to say the comments he makes about the possible? I know. I don't understand his like. I mean, he did. You know, he said. Yeah, he made it sound like Trump wasn't going to be living much longer, basically. What do you think about that challenge up there by Mr. Zyla? Is that a legitimate? I can't tell. I haven't seen you before. Well, there's two of them. If that is real, there's two right there. I don't know. Normally, people are members or something that. Allen was transported to Howard University Hospital so he was advised of his Miranda rights, and he wanted to stay silent, and then he was transferred to the hospital for minor injuries and has since been released to law enforcement custody. All right, well, why don't you start off with 5 of those, Mr. Zizela, however you pronounce that, and then that'll make it like 10 to 10, and then we've already got 2 of the 10. All right. Shortly after 8:40 p.m. on April 25th, 2026, Allen sent an email to members of his family and a former employer explaining the actions he was about to take. The email, a copy of which law enforcement was obtained from recipient, stated, "I wish I could have said anything earlier, but doing so would have made none of this possible." Right. Well, that's why Trump didn't tell, the allies that, hey, we're going to go attack Iran, because it just wouldn't have worked. The element of surprise would have been gone. Yeah. Let's see. My sincerest apologies for all the trouble I've caused. Based on my training and experience with electronic accounts, I believe that under these circumstances, the phrase scheduled send means that before attempting to breach the security perimeter at approximately 8:40 p.m. on April 25th, Allen used settings in his email account to schedule the email. Wow, that's exactly what Tyler Robinson did. See, isn't that weird, you guys? Hey, wow, you guys, Chris O'Connell did it. She said, she says, if Mr. Zyla gives 10 memberships, then I'll match 10. Okay, there you go. All right. There you go. There's the challenge. It'll be met right there, Mr. Zyla. So if you do 10, Chris O'Connell will give 10, and then you can say Paul Ayers is 2, and then if we get 3 more, that would match yours anyways, wouldn't it? Right. Didn't think so. Let's see. I wish I could have said anything earlier. Let's see. I believe that under these circumstances, the phrase scheduled send means that before attempting to breach the security perimeter at 8:40 p.m. on April 25th, 2026, Allen used settings in his email account. You will too, Paul Ayers? Look at. Yep. Allen used settings in his email account to schedule the email. That's so strange, because that's exactly what it turns out Tyler Robinson did. Who would even think of doing that? That's weird. All right, well, how about the rest of you guys? Does he have to be the one, or can it just be anybody else that does 10? That'd be pretty, that would help out a lot. Attached to the email was a text file titled Apology and Explanation, which stated in part, "Hello, everybody. So I may have given a lot of people..." Here, let's see if we can do this. Hold on a second. Yeah. Come on. Does it have to be that one person? I'm gonna have this be red. So hold on a second. Hey, there we got Carol Silva. Thanks, Carol Silva. I gotta admit that is pretty good AI technology, whatever the hell that was, because it didn't look overly, but I could tell like the hat and stuff didn't look. Well, look at that's 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there, you guys. You need 2 more, I guess. I guess xylophone or whatever the hell the name is wasn't around. All right, hold on. I'm gonna put this all in. Let's see what it sounds like if it's red. Oops. Oh, weird. You can type that in. That's strange. Man, you can, on Speechify now, you can type in, like, how to... Let's see. I said we got 6, 7, 8, 9. Are you guys just, it has to be, hey, there's Paul Ayers. All right. Thank you. Very cool, very cool. All right, let me play this then. What? Wow, thanks Chris O'Connell and Paul Ayers. Here, I got the words on the screen. Let's see what it sounds like.
Hello, everybody. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and/or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have...
You know what this is like? You know the remember in Minnesota, was it? The one guy that was a nurse or whatever, that he got shot by the ICE. That guy is exactly like this guy. I mean, when you saw him at that other protest where he, spit on the cops, and then did something and grabbed something. And then the next one is where he got killed. That guy's mentality is exactly like this guy. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's an identical type person. Educated and so forth. And just absolute Trump derangement nut jobs. Crazy lunatics. Unbelievable. Got to play the second half here.
Seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, I
kind of knew that's what that was, Chris O'Connell. I was bummed because I was like, man, that would sure help out. But you guys made it like way better than that would have been. So thank you.
Sincere apologies. On to why I did any of this. I am a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me, and I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes.
You mean Biden? Biden? Wow, you're about a month or so late, 6 months late or a year and a half late, whatever the hell it is now. I don't even know, man.
Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is the first real opportunity I've had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad.
Hey, thanks, troll.
Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets. Prioritize.
Why do you think he didn't want to target Patel? Do you think it's because he's a person of, quote, color, and this guy is half black and half white, so he thought, I'm not going to take out Patel, but everybody else, they're fair game. Maybe this guy's got a little racism in him.
From highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary, and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible. AKA, I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes
I don't know if that's a fact. That's just what my opinion is.
up people who aren't. Hotel security, not targets if at all possible, AKA unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees.
Oh, thank you up there also, Phyllis Watson. You helped out earlier in the show when there was almost nothing happening at all.
Not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people chose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor, and are thus complicit. But I really hope it doesn't come to that.
God, these people are they're literally deranged people. It's crazy. All right. Alan signed the email, cold face, friendly federal assassin Alan. I know from my investigation that Alan used the moniker Cold Force. Oh, Cold Force, not face. Cold Force in multiple online accounts. Okay. See, I was looking for that. I actually looked that one up yesterday, thinking that. There's so many of them. Now let's try it one more time. And right now, you guys, we are, let's see, 10 gifted memberships short of me, like getting to the goal, basically. Or just about there. Almost got it right there in that one. Wait, what is it again? Cold Force. And it's just one name. All right. Come on. Wait, it's got to be one word. Cold Force. That doesn't sound like something really common. Jeez. Come on, you guys. I've already done this. I can't. I gotta log in. Don't have time to go look that up. People who get offended on behalf of people who are perfectly capable of being offended on their own. Yeah. According to travel records provided by Amtrak from April 21st, 2023, Allen traveled by train from Los Angeles, California to Chicago, Illinois. From April 23rd to the 24th, he traveled from Chicago, Illinois to Washington, D.C. Allen previously purchased the 2 firearms he used in this crime in California. Thus, Allen crossed state lines with a firearm. Based on facts described above, there is probable cause to believe that Cole Thomas Allen attempt to assassinate President of the United States, transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce with intent to commit a felony, discharge it. Now they're saying he did discharge a shot, so maybe that is his. So any chance we can get to the goal? We just need 9 more gifted channel memberships. Then I'll have to do another challenge after that to get my to donate the 5. But let's see if we can get to that, because we haven't reached the goal in like 3 days now, or maybe 2 or 2.5. But then or 2 days, and then the day before that we didn't. Sent gold coin. All right, I don't know what that means. Isn't 10 joules equivalent to 5 cents? All right, here's the one from today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. On Saturday night, as you all know, an act of violence occurred at a gathering that symbolizes something fundamental to our system of government: the ability of a free press and public officials to come together in celebration and not fear. The act was stopped because of the courage and...
Oh, wait, hold on a second. 230. Oh, we only need 4 more to reach the goal. I didn't see these other ones. When it was counting off, I thought it stopped at a certain number, but it didn't. So we need 4 more gifted memberships to reach the goal.
Excuse me. That act, that horrible act, was stopped because of the courage and professionalism of law enforcement. The officers who responded without hesitation and did their jobs as they were trained to do.
All right, well, there's 5. Okay, so here's mine now, you guys. Now that we reached that, the minimum goal level, if you guys donate 5, I'll donate 5 on my own too, which is $25 more from me.
Secret Service agents promptly
Thanks,
tackled
Phyllis
and detained
Watson.
The suspect, Cole Thomas Allen. The president and all the protectees and participants at the dinner were safe. One brave officer was injured and is receiving care and has been released from the hospital. I want to make this clear. This man...
Yeah, she looks pretty good. I mean, how old is Janine Pirro? Isn't she like Shapiro? Or how do you say her last name? Janine... I think it's just Pirro, isn't it? Yeah. She must be like 70-something. Yeah, thanks so much there, Phyllis Watson. Yeah, she is 75 years old. That's crazy, you know? I mean, that's wild.
The ballroom.
I mean, I know she has a lot of makeup on and whatnot, but I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I think she's great.
With hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life. It cannot and will not be used to disrupt democratic institutions or intimidate those who serve them, and it certainly cannot continue to be used against the President of the United States. We are investigating this matter fully. We will apply the law fairly, and we will ensure that accountability is swift and certain. But we also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do. This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation but the men and women who protected us that night were trained, professional, and had an enduring commitment to the rule of law. Today, the Department of Justice filed 3 federal charges in United States District Court against Cole Thomas Allen. The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States. This count is punishable by up to life in prison. The second count is interstate transportation of a firearm to commit a felony. This is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And the third count is discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, which is punishable by a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, a maximum of life, and the 10 years is consecutive to any other sentence imposed.
Thank you, Chris O'Connell. And here is the other 5. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, see, I saw that come in. I was doing it in the background. Thank you so much there, Chris O'Connell.
Just to go through very quickly the timeline, which many of you in this room already know. The defendant, Allen, made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for April 24th through April 26th. On April 21st of this year, he traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago, and then from Chicago to Washington, D.C. On April 24th, he arrived in Washington, D.C. at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon and checked into the Washington Hilton. Approximately at 8:40 on the night of April 25th, Allen approached a security checkpoint on the terrace level of the hotel, which is again a floor above where the dinner was taking place. He ran through the magnetometer holding a long gun. As he did so, U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. One Secret Service officer was shot in the chest, but was wearing a ballistic vest that worked. This heroic officer who was hit fired 5 times at Allen, who was not shot but fell to the ground and was promptly arrested.
I don't think he's ever going to get out. See, this isn't a Hinckley type. Hinckley was, he had issues mentally. This guy is a normal person, you know? I mean, apparently. And that means he has the ability to, like, you let him out, his rationale might make it seem like it's okay to do it again. I would never let anybody like this out ever again. You know, unless the president himself pardons them, I wouldn't do it. You know, forget it. I mean, if he wants to do it. I just think that these type of people who are are maniacally lunatics, there's no fixing them.
I want to thank everybody who worked tirelessly on Saturday, Sunday, and continuing today. This includes members of the FBI.
Look at that. Trump's doing deportations even while he's at an event. You know, he deported that guy from California. He's never going back again, as Lisa said.
FBI, and Director Patel is going to address that in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. It would make other people think it's okay. But, you know, I tell you the scariest case that's going on is Luigi Mangione. You know, because that one is exactly the same. Another absolute lunatic, a complete nut job, who went after an insurance company that he wasn't even involved in, and he just wanted to do it because he thought he'd be cool. And there's all these total dipshits out there that act like he's some sort of a hero. And he's not, man. Somebody has to be the CEO of the company. Does that mean he gets to get killed because he doesn't like him? Do a different insurance company. I don't know. The whole thing is just, it's sick to me. And if they're, I could see a stealth juror getting on there. Just one of the total, morons of society who will look past any evidence because they know that he did it. It's just, I'm not going to vote guilty because I don't like insurance companies too. Sick.
It includes members of the Metropolitan Police Department who were immediately on the scene, the chief, the mayor, to make sure that law enforcement was available to do their jobs and had all the tools they needed to do so. And lastly, the United States Attorney's Office here in D.C.
That's right.
Our U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro and her team. A prosecutor stayed up all night long, didn't sleep all day
it's not
yesterday,
changing.
making sure that we got what we needed from all over the country. It included search warrants in California, search warrants here in D.C., multiple interviews that have been conducted already of witnesses and of family members of the charged individual, and continue to work hard today. This investigation is ongoing. It's not complete.
Chris O'Connell.
A lot of the information that the media is hearing through leaks or sources, some of it is true, some of it is not true, and at the right time you will hear information from us as appropriate. I'd like to ask our U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro to say a few words, and then followed by Director.
I don't know. I think the prosecution in the Mangione case is going to make sure that there's only, I mean, it's tough sometimes because somebody can pretend that they're a certain way and they're not. So, it's one of those ones where, I mean, who knows what's going to happen in that. I just hope to God it isn't that the jury just says, oh, he's not guilty because we don't like insurance companies. And by the way, that can't be argued at trial. Okay? That can't be argued at trial. Like, they can't have somebody on the defense come in and go, nah, they'd have to ask him and, bring him up. And maybe he will testify. I could see him testifying.
Patel, thank you.
He seems like he wants to.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Cole Allen's journey of accountability in the criminal justice system starts today. Todd Blanche just indicated to you the charges. Those charges are only 3 charges that are in the complaint that has been presented in federal district court about an hour ago. There will be additional charges as this investigation continues to unfold. But make no mistake, this was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, with the defendant making clear what his intent was. And that intent was to bring down as many...
I think she would have been a good attorney general, actually.
...of the high-ranking cabinet officials as he could. This is the kind of situation that we cannot tolerate. And as the Attorney General has just indicated, it could have been so much worse, but for the reality that we had the Secret Service, as well as the Metropolitan Police Department and the FBI. Now, the facts make it very clear what this intent was. You may recall that it was on March 2nd that the president indicated that he would be attending this public event at the Hilton. And on April 6th, that's when Cole Allen first made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for 3 nights, the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th. It was on April 21st that he traveled all the way from the West Coast, from his home near L.A. He gets to Chicago on April 23rd, and has been indicated he arrives in D.C. on the 24th, and he checks into the hotel at about 3 p.m.
Did you make it up so that... Oh, God, I knew the trolls would use that as an argument. That a troll came in and I put a fake troll account just so you would help support the channel. Hey, no, dipshit. What it means is that there's people that when they see the trolls, they actually help support the channel to negate your bullshit that you guys try to sell everybody. Okay? I know exactly where you came from. All right? You're not tricking anybody.
Yeah. He stays overnight. He is very much aware that the president and the first lady entered the ballroom at 8 p.m. And it was at 8:40 that he made a decision to rush the ballroom. And thank goodness, law enforcement, the Secret Service, was able to prevent him from getting into that ballroom. He was not injured other than some kind of scrape on his knee. Now, as indicated, these are the weapons that the defendant
Sorry for the barrage of trolls tonight, you guys.
had on his person. You can see that's a 12-gauge pump action Mossberg.
Yeah, I made up a fake troll account so that you guys would feel sorry for me and go, oh, wow, let's make the goal anyways. Jesus, you guys are... I didn't have any idea anybody was going to help support the channel. I was more like, oh, crap, man, that sucks. That would have been nice to have somebody be real. So why don't you look at those people, you know, losers that come in like you, who take the memberships from people, try to destroy a channel that's given $293,000 out. My God, you guys are sick, okay?
Gun. It's a 38 semi-automatic. He had at least 3 knives and all kinds of paraphernalia. So any suggestion that he wasn't there to do harm is absurd. We will prove when he purchased these guns. They were purchased in California. Why is that relevant? It is relevant because he crossed interstate lines with those firearms. And those are the firearms that he used on the night of the 25th, or attempted to use at the very least. Now, the manifesto also makes clear about his expected rules of engagement. You know, you can look at it and read it, and it may seem kind of la-la-la, but at the end, make no mistake, he says, I am targeting...
Well, thanks, Paul. That's good. And no, that's the thing. That's what they think that I'm exploiting. Paul, hey, there's a couple people out there that when the trolls show up, they'll support the channel more. Hey, I've got an idea. Let me make a fake account, and then I'll have them pretend that they're going to do something, and then people will realize that person was a troll, and then they're going to... Yeah, okay.
The administration officials... They are my targets,
that is
and I'm prioritizing...
The weird part is that's how they think, and they would do something like that. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy. That even crossed their mind.
From the top down, the highest ranking from the lowest. And I will not hesitate to get involved in any kind of encounter with anyone who blocks me from the president. Now, finally, let me say one thing. Within days of the president nominating me to be the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, I was at the scene of a double homicide where one Elias Rodriguez crossed state lines from Chicago with a firearm to commit a felony in the district. He's now indicted for the murder of 2 individuals, Laron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, here in Washington. Not long after that, another individual, Ramanullah Lachenwall, crossed state lines, again with a firearm, with intent to commit a felony here in Washington. He traveled from the state of Washington. He is now indicted with the murder of Sarah Beckstrom, a National Guardsman, and the attempted murder of National Guard Andrew Wolf. Today, we have Cole Allen, another individual, charged with crossing state lines coming from California with a firearm with the intent to commit a felony here in the district. Let this be a message to anyone who thinks that...
That's right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating bot accounts. I'm going to do what they do to me and make about 75 bot accounts that are just trolls, hoping to God you guys help support the... Yeah, Jesus. Man, these people.
Washington, D.C. is the place to act out...
Now they're going to claim they're not even doing that.
And if you are willing to do so with a firearm and cross state lines, we will find you, we will track your steps from the inception of your plan, and we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Washington, D.C. is not the place to travel to commit acts of violence. The Constitution and the laws of the United States permit us to register our views through our voices and our votes. What they don't permit is making your views known through violence, especially violence directed at the President of the United States. This is anti-democratic at its core.
Thank you, Judge. Excuse me. Thank you, General. This one hits a little differently. We were all there. Many of you were there. Many of you watching were there as well. The president was there. The vice president was there. The cabinet was there. And what you saw described by the general and the U.S. attorney is absolutely true. The president spoke on late Saturday evening with the message of unity and a backing of law enforcement, and we have followed through on that message of unity and the effectuation of law enforcement across this country. This FBI is grateful to the United States Secret Service, the Department of Homeland Security, and our interagency partners, including the Metropolitan Police Department, for swiftly jumping into action. All of us on there put us in a unique position, but all of us also acted uniquely. The Washington field office jumped into action immediately, sending a mobile command center to the scene, along with our evidence response technicians, who showed up in speedy fashion to make sure we could collect the evidence that the prosecutors and the department needed to make this announcement today. Also on scene, you were told about the brave heroics of the United States Secret Service and other members of law enforcement, and that should be celebrated by every single American. They did exactly what they were trained to do. They stopped a massive attack from becoming even worse. They stood in the way, they safeguarded America, and they should be nothing but applauded for their bravery and their dedication to their mission and their selfless sacrifice to this country. The FBI, along with standing up mobile command units, evidence tech response team, and Washington SWAT on scene, also established our NC3, our National Crisis Coordination Center, almost immediately. And almost immediately in parallel, we stood up our command center at the Washington field office under ADIC Darren Cox's leadership. Throughout the evening, we immediately began working with our Department of Justice partners to find the evidence necessary to effectuate the legal process necessary and enter into the suspect's room at the Washington Hilton successfully and lawfully and obtain the relevant evidence for exploitation. That was on scene. Back at the headquarters division and the Washington field office, we were coordinating a national scale investigation that literally spanned from coast to coast. As you heard, FBI agents along with the interagency were immediately dispatched to the suspect's home in California, where we conducted interviews that provided critical information about this horrific attack. We also dispatched investigators and agents to New London, Connecticut, where we conducted further interviews that provided necessary information that you will find in this criminal complaint, as the United States Attorney has just laid out. While officers were working diligently through the night to conduct those interviews, we were also conducting interviews of witnesses on scene. Those interviews are ongoing. As you know, there was almost 2,000 people there. We were sifting through and prioritizing who to talk to, and we will get to each and every one of you with any bit of relevant information. Again, we ask everybody who has any relevant information, like I did on Saturday night with the president, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Any piece of information is information we want to have and must receive. On top of the on-scene response by this FBI, the headquarters response, and the Washington field office response, the FBI flipped on its enterprise-wide response to this critical incident. What does that mean? We dispatched fixed-wing assets across the country so that we could immediately transport evidence that was acquired in California and Connecticut and sent it to our laboratories in Quantico for analysis. We collected the shell casings on scene, including the firearms and the weapons that the judge talked about. Those were also sent to our Quantico laboratories for immediate analysis. America should be proud that this FBI acted with the urgency that was needed for the moment that we had to answer. The president rightly said that we will act in a unified fashion, and it's because of President Trump's leadership and backing of the blue.
All right, it takes 43 hours from Amtrak from LA Union Station to Chicago. So that means he was on that train for 43 hours. And then, let's see, Chicago to Washington, D.C. And that's 17. So he was on 60 hours. He was on that train. Jesus. It's a hell of a lot of time, you know.
Every single person in law enforcement that I stood with into late evening hours on Saturday,
there you go,
early evening
Allie
hours on
Cake.
Sunday, and all day yesterday and today are thrilled to wear the badge and defend this country.
No, they don't,
Each and
Lisa.
every one of them deserves our thanks, and I encourage everyone listening to go out there and shake the hand of
The conspiracy channels don't go to CrimeCon because they're embarrassing. Nobody takes them seriously. But the reason I don't like going to CrimeCon is because the people that watch those channels show up. I mean, I don't want to be anywhere near those lunatics. You know?
a federal agent or police officer and say thank you for doing their job. Thank you for training endlessly to make sure they meet the mission requirements. And for me, as the director of the FBI, I want to thank our headquarters components for working diligently with our prosecutors and make sure that the American public knows it's not just federal agents that do this work. It's our intelligence analysts, our support staff, our laboratories, our fixed-wing assets, our critical incident response groups, our hostage rescue teams. Agents sprung into action, got out of bed, and haven't slept since. These prosecutors haven't slept since, and I promise you they're not going to be sleeping. They are going to give you every piece of evidence. As the journal said, we will make public, when appropriate, to protect the integrity of this investigation, to make sure that due process is served, and we will meet the highest standards of the Constitution, as we always do. And that is when we will continue to disclose information. I know the public has a yearning for information, but just remind yourself of how much information you have already received, how transparent this administration has been. In less than 48 hours, you know almost every single thing we know. And what we have not told you yet, we will tell you in short order. So once again, from me, as director of the FBI, I want to thank the interagency. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and their director, Mark Wayne Mullen, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Attorney General of the United States, Attorney Pirro.
You know, I thought Obama sucked, and I thought Biden sucked. Other than that, I don't really care that much. But there's no way I'm even in my brain even close to going, ooh, I got to go out there and do something about it. It's incredible. Like, what in the hell are these people doing where they... I'm just reading Phyllis's comment here. She said, love him or hate him. I don't know how the hate part does make sense. He is our president, damn it. The captain of our team. These wacko losers need to go back to picking their noses in mom's basement and quit trying to be relevant by killing. Right. I mean, I understand not liking somebody. But when you get to the point where you start calling him Hitler and fascist, and that's where your brain gets a little extra, right? Because you have the permission now from the media by telling you that the president is a fascist and a dictator. So it's almost up to you to do something about it. That's what they make you feel like. It's crazy. That's and I think that they know that they're having that effect, and they're still doing it, and that's dangerous. It's crazy. It's
and Ada Cox for springing into action.
I don't know, man. I almost think you should be able to charge politicians, even though we have freedom of speech. But if you're in office and you accuse the president of the United States of being a dictator and a fascist, that should be illegal. I think, because what it does is has the ability to incite violence like this, because you are deemed to be a credible figure who, when you say something, your constituents are likely to believe it. Some of them, a lot of them, right? So I think it's really, really dangerous to, and I don't know, I actually think it's similar to yelling fire in a movie theater. I think it has the same effect, and I think that they need to be above that and have their, it's okay to say, hey, I don't agree with what this guy's doing, this type of behavior, or, go into what you don't like about what they're doing. But when you start accusing people of being similar to these horrendous human beings that destroyed, World War II was based on and tortured and killed millions and millions of people, it's very dangerous when you have these high-ranking officials saying these kinds of things, and it incites people. That's just it. So I don't know. I think there should be some sort of a law where politicians, people in office, they cannot say so. I mean, I know it's hard to. What do you do? Come up with I don't know. I mean, I think what you need to be able to do is bring them up on incitement charges and then have them argue in court where their facts are, proving what you said he was like. That's what I think it should be.
But we will be doing it again shortly, as the president said, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
And it's different, too. Like, if you say, well, Biden, he was mentally ill, like he couldn't think at all while he's in office. That's not the same, man. You feel sorry for him, and you think, wow, he shouldn't be in there because he can't do the job, which was absolutely true, and it turned out to be true, what everybody was saying about Biden. But, they have this revisionist history now. Oh, we all thought that, yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
Pierre.
2 questions, please. Beyond the evidence and what the judge
and here's the thing. I think regular people, you should probably be able to say it, you know? Like, if you're... I guess then the argument would be, well, is it okay if Candace Owens says it? Because she has such a massive following. I guess you'd have to say, yeah. What I'm talking about is people in office who are perceived to be in the know on things. When they make comments like that, I think they should be able to be brought up on charges of incitement and have it be a really, really tough penalty. Okay? There's something extra going on there, and that is what is happening, and that is why we've had all these shootings out there, because people believe what these high-ranking officials are saying. They say it on national television shows, so therefore it must be credible that they think that Trump is the next Hitler, they're saying, right? That's what they're telling people. So, of course, there's going to be people out there that want to be a, quote, hero and do something about it.
Described as the manifesto. What other evidence can you point to that tells us that the president was the primary target?
Yeah, they hardly ever come up with anything.
So we're a day and a half into the investigation. As we talked about earlier, we were able to get multiple devices from various locations.
See, I don't mind name calling, you know, like in this one. I think what it is it's different. This is incitement and violence. You're literally, like Tim Walz, for example. I think there should be a world where he gets arrested for doing what he said. Now, we have freedom of speech here, right? So then it's like, well, then it's a slippery slope. But my God, I mean, he got out there and he said that Trump is a fascist. He's the most dangerous person that's ever, been in the United States. He goes on and on and on for hours about this shit. And it's like, people like him, he's a governor of a state. You don't think people in there are going, oh, yeah, that's right, man, that's right.
The hotel room, and also his...
he is
where
dangerous.
He lived in California. We have started that process. There's nothing more that would be appropriate to share at this time until we have thoroughly gone through it, which we're doing, and we'll share that information as appropriate in the future. Second question, go ahead.
Beyond the assassination attempts against President Trump, you had someone try to burn down the mansion where the governor lives in Pennsylvania.
That
You
is
had those
what
state
that
lawmakers
is.
attacked
Chris
in
O'Connell.
Minnesota. You've had 2 Israeli embassy staff members murdered in the city here. You had the Charlie Kirk assassination. You had the National Guardsman killed in the city. Can you, each of you, describe the current threat environment and what DOJ's stance is about it?
Well, you just described the current threat environment pretty accurately, which is that the political violence and rhetoric has got to stop. And that's something President Trump said right after the incident on Saturday night. It's something that Carolyn Levitt talked about a couple hours ago.
And they've said it for a long
It is something
time.
that is, when you have a president who, and many people in this room, if we're going to be honest about it, has done it as well. They're just as guilty as a lot of people on X. When you have reporters, when you have media just being overly critical and calling the president horrible names for no reason and without...
Yeah, I mean, that's like this guy, his wording sucks, Overly critical. I don't care if somebody's overly critical. That has nothing to do with it. Now, then after that he says rhetoric, but he kind of lost the punch by saying overly critical.
Evidence without proof.
People are overly critical all the damn time. It's the words they're using aren't even in the overly critical realm. They're in a call to arms realm.
Surprise us that this type of rhetoric takes place. If you look at what it appears that this defendant had in his past, we're talking about somebody who was college educated.
And by the way, you guys, we're on this massive lull here. I'm still doing a show. It'd be great if we could get some support for the channel. We're trying to, like we did yesterday and 2 days before that. We were hundreds of dollars short of even reaching the goal. So if you guys have the ability out there and you want to help support the channel, that would be great. If not, we did make the minimum goal tonight, so that was good.
Who has a job, who is otherwise living his life, and we'll find out more about him, as I expect, in the coming days and weeks. But he chose to do what he did, and so our threat environment is we are ready. I mean, I'm not going to go through what Director Patel just talked about with the way we responded, but this was something that we will always be prepared for, and it's sad that it has to happen, but it's not a new thing, unfortunately. Yeah, same.
Have you been able to determine
Oh, look
whether
at that.
the
Phil
gunman
swats it
fired
again. Hey,
shots?
thank
If
you.
so, how many shots he fired, and who exactly, whose bullet hit the agent?
We want to get that right, so we're still looking at that.
See, they're still looking at whose bullet hit the agent. See that? That's why earlier I wasn't sure. You'd think they would have that dialed in by now.
It appears, and I don't want to overstate, because we are still looking at this, that there were five shots that law enforcement fired. We have all the evidence is being examined very carefully and expeditiously, and we'll know more soon. We do believe that, as the complaint lays out, that the suspect, that the defendant fired it out of his shotgun, and we know that happened. But as far as getting into exacting ballistics, I'm not going to do that today because it's still being looked at and finalized.
Thank you for taking my question. You personally have called for a construction of this ballroom at the White House. The president has called for this as well. Today, the National Trust president put out a statement that says that they're grateful that everybody's okay, but, and I quote, "We are not planning to voluntarily dismiss our lawsuit, which endangers no one, and which respectfully ask the administration to follow the law. Ballroom construction is continuing unabated until June 5th at the earliest because the injunction is on hold." Where does the Justice Department go from here? And then I have a follow-up on that.
Well, we filed a motion today asking the court to do what the plaintiffs refused to do. We absolutely believe that there is no better example of why this ballroom is necessary, aside from all the very positive things the ballroom will bring to this country and to Washington, D.C., than what happened on Saturday night. You guys, many of you all were there. That's one of the only places in D.C. that you can hold an event like that due to its size and the structure of what we need. So we're basically stuck at this point in this city with having an event like that at a hotel, so underneath a ton of hotel rooms. And so the fact that we, aside from the fact that the ballroom is spectacular, it's going to be beautiful, it's going to make this country look great every time it's used, it's also a meaningful safety issue. And so I very much wish that the plaintiffs and their counsel would take a different view, but if they don't, we are going to continue to fight in court like we have been, and hopefully the judges at the D.C. Circuit Court will do the right thing.
Are you aware of...
Not you, the red.
Thank you. Are you investigating connections that Cole Allen allegedly had to left-wing groups? I think one is called the Wide Awakes, reportedly.
Yes. Of course we're investigating that. Now you.
Are you aware of his video game development past, including a potential shooter-style RPG game?
I've seen the news reports that talk about that. I think that the positive and negative.
That was pretty funny. That girl thought she had a zinger. Let's see. I mean, look how disappointed she was. Hold on.
And hopefully now you.
Are you aware of...
And hopefully the judges at the D.C. Circuit Court will do the right thing.
Are you aware of...
Not you, the red.
Thank you. Are you investigating connections that Cole Allen allegedly had to left-wing groups? I think one is called the Wide Awakes, reportedly.
Yes. Of course we're investigating that.
Of course we're investigating that. And then she's like, look at, she doesn't look very...
Are you aware of his video game development past?
It's like, yeah, that was kind of dumb.
Shooter-style RPG game.
I've seen the news reports that talk about that. I think that the positive and negatives of this type of case is that there's a lot of people investigating this man right now, including the FBI. But the only investigations that truly matter in the court of law are the ones that Director Patel and his men and women are doing. So we'll wait for them to do that and get an answer.
Just really quick, what do you know anything about?
Hey, good luck out there, Kimberly.
Christian faith past, because he said something about it in the manifesto.
I have read reports in the news, and I've read reports that say various things regarding his views of Christianity, his views in the past of Christianity, and I'm certainly not going to speak to news reports. I will wait, as I hope all of you would, for the investigation to continue until we actually have answers. Yeah.
Just a little technical question. You mentioned that you guys, so far, you think that Allen fired at least one shot. That doesn't say that in the affidavit yet, so I'm just curious if you can explain the discharging of weapon charge at this point.
Well, he's charged with violating 924C, discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. So by definition, that charge means that it was discharged. I can tell you from what I know, with the understanding that we're a day and a half in, that this is the gun that he discharged. And as those of us that have ever shot one of these know, what happens when you shoot that is the casing stays inside the firearm, and then if you reload it, it pops it out. My understanding is that it was inside the firearm, but hadn't been ejected, which means that it hadn't been pulled back again. But again, I want folks to understand, I'm the acting attorney general. I'm not on the ground doing the investigation, so I'm telling you what I've been told, and we'll, if that information changes, I'm sure that we'll let you know. Yeah.
Just want to ask you about this letter that you posted yesterday that's sent from Brett Shumate to the plaintiffs in that lawsuit. It says that the Washington Hilton is, quote, demonstrably unsafe for the President of the United States. It said that with the ballroom, that Trump will no longer need to venture beyond the safety of the White House perimeter. Just engaging with those lines, was there an assessment in advance of the dinner that the Hilton was demonstrably unsafe? And if so, why was President Trump allowed to attend it? And then separately, just the idea
this guy's
that
an idiot.
By building the ballroom, that President Trump wouldn't need to go outside of the conference.
It was demonstrably found to be unsafe after this event. Okay. But he's like, his brain didn't really, like, wow, if it was demonstrably unsafe, why'd you have it there? No, we found out it was demonstrably unsafe after the event. You could tell that it wasn't a safe place.
Confines of the White House. I mean, is that something that the American people, should find acceptable, that the president would have to be, for major events, confined to the White House? It seems like kind of a castle.
Well, it's because of people like you.
That is obviously not what he means by that. And the fact that question comes with respect to President Trump is laughable in the extreme. I mean, laughable in the extreme. You have a president who willingly speaks with you guys multiple times a day, I would say 7 days a week. He is active all over the country. I think with that, keeping it to the four corners of that statement, when he says demonstrably, it's demonstrated by what happened on Saturday night. So that doesn't mean that the Secret Service would ever let the president go into an unsafe environment. I know that the director of the Secret Service will be focused on making sure that we always keep him safe. And by the way, as we said before, and as anybody that was in...
I was thinking while I watched this earlier, it was the same thing. It was somebody said on Fox News earlier, was that... could you imagine at the same hotel, if 10 or a group of highly armed individuals did the exact same thing that this one person did, and then simultaneously, with high-powered weapons, maybe 10 of them, charged that? I mean, man, this could be a whole different situation here. It just happened to be, in this case, it was one person, but it was so, like, if you just got a room in the hotel, 10 of them. Could you imagine if they all came down the same way he did and just sprinted in? Oof, man, that would have... There was some highly armed people inside the room, though, so...
That room knows we were safe. We were safe. We heard a lot of loud noises that at the time many of us thought could be guns going off. It was mostly plates falling because of the staff, understandably, were running. So my reaction to that is I'll leave anything with respect to security up to the great men and women of the Secret Service. But when we talk about having an environment like the ballroom, it's an environment like what you saw last night. So an environment where you have a unique blend of cabinet members,
they just shoot
leadership
through
of this country, leadership of Congress, reporters and members of the public coming together for an event like that. That's different than other public-facing situations, which I have no doubt President Trump will continue to do, as he said he would on Saturday night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, how did Blitzer go to the bathroom?
Sure. Is there any other credible threats at this time related to events in the city, including King Charles, and then separately, the Manifesto? I don't really want to give too much weight to this. did mention your name in it as someone that they maybe were not targeting. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that, and then also the political motivations there?
As to the latter, no. As to the former, the FBI and the interagency.
He got so fast past that one. As a latter, no. But for the man, I mean, he was like, the guy wanted him to address why he was called out as not being a target.
At this time related to events in the city, including King Charles, and then separately, the manifesto, I don't really want to give too much weight to this, did mention your name in it as someone that they maybe were not targeting. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that, and then also the political motivations there?
As to the latter, no. As to the former, the FBI and the
Man, that was
interagency
like,
is constantly
Jesus,
evaluating
right on to the
intelligence
next.
provided to us by interagency collection methods. Our partners in the federal and state and local levels, we are constantly relaying that information to the White House, to the Attorney General, to the United States
No, it
Attorney,
wasn't,
specifically
Lisa.
here in D.C.
It was outside.
And we
I
will always
already know
assess
the
each
answer.
piece of intelligence and base it on the
He was
credibility
right
that
where
it
the
was
shooting,
received and give it
the
due
guy
weight
was
that it
taken
has.
down.
But as the U.S. Attorney has stated, and as President Trump's task
Wolf
force for
Blitzer.
Washington, D.C. has shown, we have reduced crime in this city by historic levels, and we will continue to do so. We will continue to safeguard the men and women
That's right.
that call Washington, D.C.
No king protest. Well, here comes a king.
Just a couple more. Acting Attorney General, in paragraph 14 of the complaint today, it says that the suspect fell, and you said that he was tackled. I just want to see if we can try to make sure we understand.
Well, I think that both can be true. And I would rely on the complaint because that was sworn to by an agent and not by the words out of the acting attorney general, who most certainly was not there. But I think both can be true.
The U.S. Attorney yesterday also mentioned that one of the charges possibly would be for assault on an officer, and I noticed today it's a different charge. Is this because you've determined that what he shot didn't actually strike the officer?
We're still looking at that, and I think that,
I think that probably
that's
means
something that you'll hear
that a
about
bullet
in the coming
didn't
days
hit
as we
the
know
officer
the answer to
from
that.
the
It
gun.
doesn't legally matter.
Doesn't
in that
matter at all,
situation,
yeah, he was there
but
to-
you know, there when after an event like this happens, not surprisingly, there's initial charges that we consider. Then you have the U.S. Attorney's team and the FBI.
Hello,
looking
Richard
through the evidence and
Watts.
figuring out what's the best thing to do, and that's what you have. Right? Just one more question. Yeah.
I have two quick questions. One,
All right, two
I
questions.
just wanted to clarify, you said the one officer fired their weapon 5 times. Was that the only officer who discharged a firearm?
I want to be very careful in answering that question because this is, when you do ballistics evidentiary collection and research, it is very complicated. So when you fire a bullet, the bullet ends up somewhere. Sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't. And so from that, with that qualifier, we believe right now that there was 5 shots fired from the same firearm. But there's a team of folks looking at this that are experts, and the evidence collection team that were in that area of the hotel where the shots were fired will work all night. They have the evidence they collected, but it's not an exact science from the standpoint that, for
He's already
example,
here.
the buckshot, when
King
that shot
Charles.
it scatters everywhere, and sometimes it just disappears actually, depending on where it hits. So you don't have to. Hopefully, with that qualifier, that's where we are right now.
Question about the timeline, sir.
Hold on.
I just wanted to ask what law enforcement has learned about why he was targeting President Trump. Do you guys believe he was upset about a certain policy or decision by the president?
The complaint
Yeah, well,
lays
certain
out
policy, you just
what
hate
I
him.
think is described as a manifesto, which is something that he allegedly sent to many folks, his family. That's what we have so far as his motivation. As the U.S. Attorney said a few minutes ago, what is clear from the complaint and from what we have so far is he was targeting President Trump. He described that in his manifesto. He was targeting administration officials. He described that. But as far as us understanding additional motivation, that's for the FBI and law enforcement. All right, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, well, there you go. There's that. Hey, it looks like. So let's work on this for a minute. The last one. So here we go. I'm gonna bring this in. Oops. All right, you guys can see me, right? Look at that. Doesn't that look just like him? Right there? Tyler Robinson. But that's not where he's supposed to start. So he's right there. And this is just a mat, like an overlay. Should work pretty good. Let's see. So you move it back in here. And let's watch how it moves. That's pretty good. Does it turn left now? Wow. It's almost good right out of the gate. Look at that. There he is. I might have to make another mat of those cars. This is apparently where he was. And does he must turn right here? Okay, so I think I can make him smaller than this. So I think he should be a little bit smaller. I think. Let's do like 96. Yeah, and then slide him over right in there. About 93. There. That's pretty good. I think right there just needs to be over slightly, like there. And how does it look over here? Oh yeah. Isn't that awesome? Look at that. That's so good. And he goes into the building. See? And that's exactly what we're going to see on camera. When it's released, it's going to look just like that. You're going to see him coming in like this. And it looks clearer than that. See, watch. That's what it would look like. Well, let me do a little bit something a little more. All right. Okay, now he's on the sidewalk. Boom. Look at that, huh? You zoom in, he's got his hat, the backpack, and everything. That took me almost the whole day especially just trying to figure out how to do it. You know, so what I have is this, in this program, this 3D, well, you can't see it here, but there's like, I have a 3D version of the whole place, and I had them walking in there, and then it creates shadows on the ground, and then I took the shadow caster, it's called a shadow mat, I think, and I took that, so all it does is record the person and its shadow from this object. So this thing that you see in an outline is actually the terrain. That's the top of the building, of the Losi Center building, where he runs behind. And then down here is, so I just needed enough of the ground to capture his shadow and everything. And I removed the cars. That's why there's these holes, this big chunk right there. There were some 3D cars sitting there, and I got rid of them. And then what it does is when you render the scene out, all it does is render the person and the shadow that was cast on this object with it. Right? So, I mean, the crazy part is each frame in there, I'll even show you what it looks like. Watch. If I go over here like this, that's what it looks like. In fact, you can see him right here. See that? All the blackness on the outside is transparent. And then he is not. And the shadow associated with that person. So this is how they do it in the movies, by the way. Same shit. I can't make him limp, unfortunately. Yeah, so I use 3D Studio Max to do this. I think I'm going to do some stuff in the Nancy Guthrie case now. You know, instead of having that car do what it was doing. Well, I mean, I can have the car parked and then a humanoid walk. I don't need to do the mat situation because I've got that 3D street and everything. Right, so check it out. And I think then if I take this and put that at the end of this, this will be awesome. Watch this. So look, here's the Losi Center building. So it's going to look like this. I'm walking to the side of it. This is from Tyler Robinson's eyes. Come on, you gotta admit, this is super chat worthy, isn't it? And he comes out like this, and then from this position, here we go. Oh. I think there was some, let me get rid of the darkness, whatever that was. There it is. Let me stop that. Let's do that again. Right there. So I'm on the left side of the Losi Center building, then boom, right there. See, that's going to do the whole damn thing. And then, I guess, I should be able to go like this. Because I set this up where it's the right amount of time, too. So now there's even a clock on the top. So it was 12:02 when he shows up over there. So he probably enters the Losi Center building at like whatever time this ends up being. I mean, what I could do is I can cut out each one of these little signs and he'll walk behind it. And then if there's any cars that I think this one might be the only one that I would have to make, because he's going to walk right behind that, and maybe this one and a couple of these over here too. But see that? Like right there, he's walking in front of the car. And then he's going to walk in front of this sign here. So I'm going to have to do something with this. It'll be cool though. Well, thank you, Chris O'Connell. Hey, and Jim Lawn, who said, Tony fed his pony my entire bag of carrots. Wow. Too bad. Sweet. I think I'm going to export this out. This whole segment was pretty awesome. If you want to, if you didn't see it last night, just this portion inside the tunnel here. So I have these like AI generated, you know, like he's on his phone. We don't have a picture of that, but see he's at the top there. And then I have this portion at 500 times the speed. That's why it's clicking around. I think he's on his cell phone for like 4.5 minutes up there. And then after that, you know, now he's heading down the stairs. And that's an actual photograph that I overlaid in the exact, you know, very similar spot. It's hard to get the precise angle there. Then after that, he goes through the tunnel here. Yeah, and then right at the end over here, I show it. So you have like this, and then that's the angle that it shoots back, and I put him exactly, look at the line up there. Ding, ding, ding. That's exactly where it was, and his feet were probably on the ground right there. That's all they gave us. And then, after that, goes around the corner, up the stairs. All right, we got one from Phyllis Watson now. It says, oh wait, where am I? Gray, this one. Yeah, I don't have it. Just a second. Oops. Jeez, what in the heck was that? All right. There it is. Why can't you ever trust an atom? Because they make up everything. You get it? They make up everything. Well, yeah, I know that, Jake. When I put this video out, it'll probably get 2,000 views because people don't want to, you know, their brains don't work very good. Anyways, you go around the corner here, he goes up the stairs. A lot of data in here, so. But look at that, it's pretty cool. Look how perfectly those are lined up with see my image here? Then bing, bang. So like literally you can see him moving just by going like this. And there's me at the bottom of the stairs. Then he goes up and then does the whole walk all the way down. And then right over here, we have him walking in front just like that. And then boom. I think I need to put some text in there, though. Anyways, that's going to do it, you guys. I think it's been, how long have I been on here for? I don't even know now. It's hard to say. I can't tell. Anybody know? Let's see what time he probably enters the Losi Center building. At around 12:03 and 40 seconds. And then eventually he comes up the stairs over here. So I'm going to have to make something where I might have to use, I don't know. It sucks that they have that fence there. But he walks over, I might have to figure out a way to like remove these people and the fence and everything, and then have them walk over here, and then I'm not really sure, you know, what to do with that. And then he stands up and then runs over there. So, anyways, thank you to Cheryl Bullock, Alley Cake, and thanks Alley Cake for helping out more tonight. And then Alley Cake a couple times there. That was to try to reach the Phyllis Watson goal that nobody, or challenge that nobody was helping out on. So Alley Cake did the whole thing. And then we had Phyllis Watson gifted 5, then Roger Smith. Then we have K-Me a couple times there, then Phyllis Watson gifted 1. Then Paul Ayers gifted 5. Then Chris O'Connell gifted 5. Then we had Paul Ayers Super Chat, Alley Cake. Then Carol Silva gifted 5. Thank you. And then Roger Smith gifted 1. And then Paul Ayers and Chris O'Connell both gifted 10 memberships. And then we had Phyllis Watson do 5 again. Then Chris O'Connell did 5. Then I gifted 5. Then Phyllis Watson gifted 1. Jim Lawn, Chris O'Connell, and Phyllis Watson. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I guess we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Blazers play likely their last game of the playoffs in San Antonio, but we'll see. So the show might be a little later in the evening if anybody's interested. Usually they'll start at like 5:30 or 6. So, you know, it might be like 8:30 or 9 my time. So, anyways, thanks everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for getting us to the goal tonight. Thanks for all the challenges that people did, and thanks for making up for the clown who pretended to do a. You know, it was weird when that person did the challenge and they're a troll. Wouldn't they expect that maybe 10 people would have given 10? I mean, you know, he goes, hey, if you do 10, I'll do 15. All right, well, I mean, it still would have got the 10 in, so it's kind of a stupid ploy, don't you think? Kind of stupid. Anyways, thank you. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow. But I'm going to keep working on this. This thing's going to take me forever. But what do you guys think so far? Isn't it pretty cool? It's got everything. It's got the dry runs earlier. Then this one's the final run, basically. The whole thing. I mean, all the way down to... I think I'm going to have this be its own clip here. I got to put some text in here. And then the next one's going to be him going up the stairs, going over... the shooting happening. Then then there's like, you see the shooting happening, then you see the guy getting up on the one shot. So I'm going to show him, you know, laying down or whatever, using that one shot that's down below, and then I'm going, you know, the one that's to the side, originally looking up on the roof, where you see him, and then I'm going to have some of the Bartholomew video where they're just interviewing somebody, and then maybe sort of a blurred out image of Kirk, and then you're going to see from inside the flag room the person getting up, and then we're going to, so they'll be getting up and they'll start moving, and then it's just like the clock's ticking away, and then you skip over to, you know, because there's only like 4 seconds after that. So there's only 3 seconds of missing time. And then back to the shot that you see here, but the original video, the real one that has the surveillance. And then from there on, you see him do everything. So I don't need to animate any of that. I need to animate the part where he goes up onto that one area, goes over the wall, waits, and then runs over. You know, that might not be the greatest. I might have to sort of like put him below the surface and then have him pop up or something. You know, you won't be able to see what the hell he's doing. Well, yeah, I guess I'll have to do it that way. I'm not going to be able to have him climb over a wall or something like that. Anyways, again, I want to, thanks again to, special thanks to Phyllis, Paul Ayers, and Chris O'Connell. And then also to, there was a whole bunch of other people that were helping out. But, special thanks. You guys got us to the goal at least tonight, so that's good. And we'll see you tomorrow, all right? And who knows what tomorrow will bring. Thanks again for watching. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. And
Evil can never be dead enough.